Are you using the right type of toothbrush for your child? Hey y'all, I'm Amy Morgan. I'm the marketing coordinator for Pediatric Dental Associates and Orthodontics. And in this video, we are going to be showing you the right type of toothbrush for your child. Here at PDA&O, we understand completely that as a parent, walking into your local retail store, into the gigantic toothpaste and toothbrush aisle can be super overwhelming. So we are here to try to simplify this process for you. So first and foremost, we're gonna start with our teeny tiniest little ones, okay? So when they are infants, you're definitely going to be using an infant size brush. Now there are several options out there. You can find these in actually the baby section, but also the toothbrush section. But as soon as you start seeing those little teeth appear, you wanna make sure that you start to brush. Now, if they are still really teeny tiny, if all you want to use at that point is a washcloth or some kind of finger cot or something like that, it's totally fine. But once you're ready to start introducing that toothbrush to them, you want to make sure that you are using the correct size toothbrush. So as far as brands, bristles, all those things, in some way they matter as far as the bristles, but the brands don't matter. Who's on it doesn't matter. None of that. It really is about the size of the head of the toothbrush. So we're going to start with one of the smallest ones that we actually give our patients in our practice, and that is going to be the Oral-B, and it's for 0 to 3 years. So usually you're going to be able to find these in your retail store super easily. And what you're going to be looking for is, remember, not the brand, you're going to be looking for the age. So on most toothbrushes that you find in a retail store, they are going to have the ages displayed clearly on the packaging. And we definitely follow these guidelines at our office. These are also guidelines that are put out by the AAPD as well as the ADA. And so these are the resources that we look back to make sure that we are using the correct size brushes and the correct items within our practice that are appropriate for children. So it's definitely something that you want to be looking for in your retail stores as well. You want to be looking for that ADA stamp or the AAPD stamp as well. So for this example, we have this Oral-B, ages 0 to 3. You can see in comparison to most, this toothbrush head is super small. This is because their mouths are very small. So you just want to make sure that whatever brush you're choosing for this age range, 0 to 3, that it is marked accordingly. So obviously on this brush, it would be great for an infant or a 2-year-old. Where kind of the defining line ended up kind of getting a little bit blurred is when you start to see the other size, which says 3 and up. And so you're in there with your 2.5-year-old and they're screaming for Spider-Man, okay? But it says 3 and up. So you may have to decline their wish for just a few more months and let them know that the next time they get to go to the dentist, maybe they can get a character one that they like. But for this particular 6-month time frame between 2.5 and 3 years, you really want to try to stick to this smaller toothbrush head, okay? Again, soft bristles are normally included on all kids' brushes, so none of that truly really matters. What you're looking at is the size of the brush head. Okay, and you can see on this brush, it's also got an ergonomical handle that's kind of easier for a smaller hand to hold. So this would be really good to start getting them the dexterity needed to be able to hold their toothbrush on their own. Okay, so again, you're going to go with 0 to 3 years, very easily to be able to distinguish that on the packaging in most stores. In general, most brands' packaging all kind of takes the same age grouping. You're going to see some stationed in the 0 to 3 age, and then you're going to have 3 to 5, then you might have 6 and up. But most of your major brands, your Oral-B, your Crest, your Colgates, are going to use the same distinction in the age breakdown when you start to look at the sizes. So in this particular brand we use at our office is Oral-B again. You can see that at the top corner of this brush, it says 3+. So this is going to be for anyone who is age 3 and up. This can be used for a 3-year-old as well as an 8-year-old. We actually also give these to our orthodontic patients because they are really, really good size for even our teenagers to be making sure that they're getting all areas of their mouths around all those brackets and wires and appliances that they have. So this is a very popular brush in our practice. But as you can see here, they offer a ton of characters. We've got Spider-Man, Pixar, Despicable Me. I mean, everything you can possibly think of. princesses, Moana. So this is kind of a fun age for toothbrushes for kids. So again, if you're struggling with your child to be able to brush at this age, something fun to do is you could actually take them to the store, let them pick out their own brush and toothpaste, just make sure it has fluoride in it. And that can actually make their brushing time just a little bit easier if they know that they got to choose that brush. Now, when they reach age around 6 and up, this is gonna be when they start to kind of have all those teeth leaving and coming in and all kinds of things happening. But this is also where you're gonna see an age distinction change in the size of their toothbrush. So you can see on these toothbrushes in particular, they have a 6+, and you can also see that the brush head here is much larger than the one that we previously showed. And you can see that it starts to have a little bit more of an ergonomical handle made for their hands. It gets a little bit larger as far as being able to reach a little bit further back in the mouth. And so, but the main thing again that you're gonna be looking for in your retail stores when shopping for them is the age. Now again, you can always go down in size for your child, but you never wanna go up in size. So if your 6, 7, 8-year-old is still into The Incredibles or Spider-Man, then you can definitely pick up this size and this will still work. The smaller sizes always work. You just do not want to upgrade to the larger size until they're ready. And last but certainly not least, once they reach about the age of 10, you're going to be able to just pick the toothbrush that you would choose for yourself. Once you get up to this age, you're really not going to see ages on the packaging. So it's just gonna be more of these are standard for ages around 10 and up. This is gonna be when they are completely brushing on their own and when they're taking care of things as well as they can by themselves. Again, ergonomically, you're gonna see a longer handle. It is a little bit longer than even the 6+ that we saw earlier. It's a little bit skinnier, has a little bit of a different dexterity, has different places for them to place their thumbs and things like that. There is rhyme and reason to why toothbrushes and how toothbrushes are designed. So you should really look that up sometime. It's very interesting. I met a guy who designed toothbrushes. It was an interesting conversation. But you can see here, it also has some indicator things here on the toothbrush heads. Once these start to kind of fade out or spread out, that means it's time for a new toothbrush. So the other thing we want to make sure that you are remembering as a parent, and on top of everything else you have to remember, is to make sure you are replacing your toothbrushes or your toothbrush heads every 3 months. Or if you start to see any wearing or anything like that in their toothbrush before the 3 months, then that's perfectly fine to go ahead and change those out. One of the big questions we get asked by parents about toothbrushes is when is it okay to introduce an electric toothbrush? Now, some electric toothbrushes, such as this one from Sonicare, can actually be started to be used at age 3. They have approved this, had this approved through all kinds of channels so that you can start using an electric toothbrush for age 3 and up. Now you're gonna see this type of toothbrush in your dental office or in your retail stores, and they have the removable heads, okay? So this is the kind that you should definitely try to invest in. There are the spin brushes where the head does not get replaced. You just have to throw it away when it's done. So every 3 months, you should be throwing those away, which is, if you don't want to invest in a $7 toothbrush every 3 months, then you might want to look into one of these options, which is just considered an electric with a removable head. Again, we sell these in our practice. This is the brand that's done by Sonicare, and this is specifically made for kids. It comes in a blue or a pink, and it comes with either compact size heads or regular size toothbrush heads. So again, you can see this toothbrush head is a little bit larger, so this is not going to be the compact. This is going to be for your older kids, but you can see it's much wider than the little spin piece that is on one that might be for an infant or something like that. So you just want to make sure you're checking your brush heads that come with your electric toothbrushes. Another good option that we have found is Burst Kids. These are also really good. Around 3 and up is perfectly fine for this age grouping, but you can also see on this photo here that the toothbrush head is much smaller. Now you will start to notice when you get into the electric toothbrush world, you're going to see some electric toothbrushes with a round head or a more small oval, or you're going to see the bigger ones like the normal toothbrushes on some of these. So it really, at this age, is really more about preference. So once they start to get older and start to be able to brush a lot better, then they may have a preference on whether or not they want this regular style that most people are aware of, or the more small oval or the small round tip as well. And then for your older kids, you can actually start with this Philips Sonicare. You can see this size has just a normal size toothbrush head. There are several options through Philips Sonicare. There are also several options through Oral-B. They are always redoing them. They have apps you can use. They have timers that can be used. You can even Bluetooth them to your phone, so you can check up on whether or not your teenager is actually brushing their teeth. That's a fun one in my household. But again, you just want to find the preference that they like, but the biggest thing is making sure that you're paying attention to the size of the toothbrush head. All electric toothbrushes pretty much work the same. It's really going to be about preference of maybe the motor is too loud or something like that, as well as the size of the toothbrush head. Our founding partner, Dr. Tanya Triplett, always said, it doesn't really matter how you take care of your teeth as long as you take care of them from the beginning.